very good evening and a warm welcome to the program. We're coming to you from the Kampala Serena Conference Center in TV Uganda studios. And tonight our conversation is, we're going to talk about a wonderful innovation, at least I think so, teaching young people about renewable energy using a comic strip. We thought it a worthwhile venture and invited the team here, so I'll quickly introduce them. Right next to me is Hakim Owini. You probably remember him from the guy who walked from Uganda to Ethiopia in 55 days with a message to the youth. He was planting trees with students along the way. It is no wonder that he's part of this conversation. Hakim, it's good to see you.
Oh, thank you very much, JK. Good to be back here.
All right. And next to Hakim is Susan Asimwe, who is a petroleum geoscientist with Tech Lab Uganda. It's good to have you, Susan.
Thank you, Josephine.
Right. Let's say it as it is. Well, once again, thank you for joining us. Well, just before we start, let me share some information that the team has shared with me that then sets the pace for our conversation. There is a disproportionately huge dependency among the greater population of Uganda, especially rural Uganda, on wood as the primary source of energy in the domestic, school and industrial environments. Using wood impacts directly the alarming rate of deforestation in Uganda. It is also a major source of air pollution in these environments, especially within homes in Uganda. Poor air quality in our homes in rural Uganda is one of the most significant contributors to health-related problems, and this primarily from wood fires. People in Uganda are more likely to die from air pollution than those in Tanzania, Rwanda and Kenya, according to figures from the World Health Organization. SPE Uganda wants to influence a change in behavior to move communities away from firewood by exposing them to safer, cleaner and sustainable alternatives. The plan is to set a target and educate the children at primary schools, who in turn will influence their families and their larger communities. SPE Uganda plan to achieve this education using comic strips and fun activities which will be designed to be immediately appealing and understood by children. The comic book stories will be designed to do away with the need to have an intermediate instructor. The children will teach themselves, absorbing the educative messages sooner. In addition to the basic sustainable clean energy message, each comic strip will seek to educate children indirectly on some social values and rural social problems. This looks very interesting, and these are the comic books. At least this is issue 1 up to issue 3.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about SPE.
SPE is Society of Petroleum Engineers. It's an international organization that has different sections all over the world. So SPE has a section in Uganda that is called the Society of Petroleum Engineers, Uganda section. And this is where the idea started from.
Okay.
Yes.
When I looked at the comic strip, and this is what it looks like. When I looked at it, I saw the title, Energy for You, somewhere right here in the corner.
Yeah.
What is Energy for You about? Energy
for You is a program that's intended to teach children about renewable energy options. So SPE International sends out packages to the different sections all over the world. So when Uganda got its package, it was not tailored for the Ugandan child. It was talking about things like saving energy by using a washing machine, which really does not relate to the larger percentage of the Ugandan child. So we tailored it.
Sorry, saving energy by using a washing machine?
Yeah, a washing machine, yes. Not leaving it on for so long.
Okay.
Yes. So we tailored the whole package and decided to make it a comic strip that will be, like you said, immediately appealing and that the children will easily understand.
Okay. When we speak about renewable energy, we include things like environment protection, recycling. What else? I guess this resonates with your working, Hakim. What else are we talking about in relation to this?
Well, in the bigger picture, when we talk about renewable resources and environmental protection, I want to bring you a story that every day at our home, you wake up, you brush your teeth, you sweep your house, you clean your compound, you take care of your compound, and everything. But we forget the bigger home we have, that is the Mother Earth, that everything we achieve, we derive them from the earth. And we don't think about it, we only brush, take care. So the world needs kind of a makeup, just like the way we make up before we hit the road, we go on our perspective. We need to take care of like renewable energy.
Are you picking on us who are wearing makeup?
No, I'm not. No, like even me, I do makeup.
Oh?
Like, I comb my hair, I iron, these are makeup. So, bring it to the environment, like taking care of our environment, that means like we are interrelated. Taking care of the environment, we are taking care of ourselves. Talking about renewable energy, if we talk of development without putting the sustainable aspect of it, that will take us back to our understanding that things we consume right now, do we put in regards those who will live after us? Yeah.
When we're cutting down trees, we're using all these kinds of plastics, we're,
Yeah, because most of the things we use today, we are not responsible with them.
We're polluting the water,
yeah.
The water bodies. What statistics informed this conversation that started with all of you guys and led to this? How badly are we doing on energy conservation?
Well, there's a bulletin NEMA talks about like in 2000, from 2010 up to 2015, we destroyed over 487,000 hectares
of forest
cover. And that means that that's 4% every year we are destroying it. And that's indicate that in the next 10 years, if we continue the current destruction, we won't be having any forest in Uganda. Yeah. That means our health system will be compromised, our feeding, environmental pollution, and everything we look up to is going to be destroyed. And the quality of life will reduce, we'll start suffering. So that when you talk about environment protection, it's not about only to SPE, it's everyone's concern, because that's where we derive the living from. We interrelated with nature. We humans, we are not any better than other living things. We're supposed to put everything in regards in every step we take to protect our world. So yeah, and according to the Health Effect Institute and Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation, they're saying that in 2017 there were over 13,000 deaths related to air pollution, and 10,000 is directly caused by toxic fume we get from firewood. Yeah, and when you see in Uganda, to have warm food on the table, almost like we cut down trees. And when you talk to people at the grassroots level, they tell you that we have been using it from way back, this is the way. There's a rudimentary traditional way of understanding which we cannot break among the adults. So our approach to make kids understand, because we are saving this environment for them.
For the future.
And that's why we go to primary schools.
All right. Susan, what does a geoscientist do?
A geoscientist basically studies the science of the earth, the makeup of the earth, and relating it to petroleum. We study the science of the earth in order to find petroleum resources and extract them.
That's what you're doing?
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, and this brought us to this conversation that we are having now.
Yeah.
You and a couple of others were the brains behind the comic strip.
Yeah, sure.
How did that come about?
This comic strip, it's a surprise that it's actually coming from a petroleum sector. It shouldn't be, but we as the petroleum sector understand the big environmental footprint that we leave on the environment. Actually, most of the petroleum companies around have sections wholly dedicated to renewable energy, even our very own Total, as we know. So we sat down and said, SPE, Society of Petroleum Engineers, does care. We care about the environment, and we decided to sit down and teach, like he said, the younger generation about renewable energy, about saving our environment, and about the goal that we're all looking forward to of zero emissions one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, then we can get into the comic strip. I'm curious to know what it's talking about and the messages and how you're putting these messages out to your target audience. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Fix her father's motorcycle. She is very good at maths. She is very cheeky, she's very inquisitive, which is contrary to how the Ugandan girl is raised.
Are her parents enabling of the personality that she has?
Yes, her parents are very, very enabling. Her father always calls her whenever it's time to work on the motorcycle. He always encourages her to work hard and make sure that everything she needs for her education is provided.
Right, that's Nampicha.
That's
Adrico?
Nampicha, yes.
What's Adrico like besides liking to cook?
Yes, Adrico loves to read. He really loves to read. He loves to take care of his grandmother. He loves to, once in a while, he loves to play football, but only when they force him. His friends really force him, but he's a good reader.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, and then it contains the environmental education aspect of it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Basically brings the, to also like break down that power imbalances in our homes, because normally when you bring environmental saving, environmental conservation, and you don't break down the power imbalances that most of us, like men, traditionally we pose things, go look for this kind of energy, and we don't care, but we put it in regards that, oh, I will go and design better, sustainable way how we can cook food. It's not up to my wife or my sisters, that we think together that how can we
think about the things in the kitchen.
The thing in the kitchen together, that how can we have food, but again think about environment for the future children, and how can we incorporate this in our family discussion, because our life here is maintained, as I said before, is like the earth supporting it. That means that we have to take care of everything, like we have to take care of our earth in every aspect of our life.
Okay, all right. What have you done so far with the comic strips? Actually, before we get to that, what's the process of getting this done?
We sit down with a team of creative writers and creative artists. We partnered with Remina Comics that basically transform our ideas, our stories into the images that you see on that comic strip. So we sit down, for every issue we have a major energy theme. Say for example biomass, we're tackling basically 4 renewable energy themes: biomass, solar, wind and hydroelectricity.
Okay.
So for each issue, maybe a couple of issues, we're tackling one energy theme, say biomass, and then we bring in other sub-themes like picking up litter, respect for elders. So it's a sort of holistic learning in our storyline creation. So we sit down with the creative writers, we create the story, the script of the story, we hand it over to the creative artists, they draw, we review, we say, okay, this drawing, or how this, we also review our dialogue. Say for example, if a child replies disrespectfully to an elder, we edit the dialogue, because that is not the kind of information we're trying to give.
Yeah, you don't want to enable or inform stereotypes and bad behavior.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, once the storyline has been approved, we have also editors. Once it has been approved, we print.
You print.
Yeah.
What have you done so far with this? How many episodes? What issues?
We've done, well, currently on issue 10, but in print we have issue 1 to 3. We have done pilot tests with 2 schools in Kampala. One is Hands of Hope in Namuongo, and then another is a child community center in Kamocha. Yes, so we take these strips to them, and we measure if the information is being absorbed and understood.
Is it friendly for them?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it friendly? Are they understanding? Are they following the panels? Are the words not so robust for them? Because these are children.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this, do they shock you? Children have a way of shocking you and looking at things in a way you know?
Yeah, they really do. Like, oh my God, children are very amazing creatures. They always say that they love the girl. They really love the girl because she's cheeky. She loves to, like, she's very different. It's not a girl that you find in an everyday Ugandan life. And some of the comic strips have questions for feedback, and the feedback that they give really, it helps us think better on how to improve our next issue, or helps us get more ideas for our next issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this one of the schools you went to, this particular picture?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you headed with this? Where do you plan to go with this?
Where do we plan to go with this? Our major aim right now is awareness, but also in between the distribution of the comic strips, we plan to have the schools that have been participating together and have engaging activities and actually teach them these solutions. We talk about briquette making, we talk about solar energy, we talk about we need to teach them so that it just doesn't stop at awareness, which is most of these projects, they stop at awareness. They don't go ahead to actually teach solutions.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. So then before we took a break, you mentioned that what I see, and when I look at this, I'm thinking comic strips, young people, yeah. And you mentioned it's targeted at the rural areas, but when you did your research or your testing, it was done within Kampala. Are you thinking of doing any testing up country?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we did in Kampala.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got our data. Kids were like excited. Then we say, oh, let's try up country, because like those were said like urban schools and up country school. They are different grades. Then we went to Kidgum. We were at Kidgum Childcare. Kids were very excited. We were at Horizon Primary School and Pandrong Primary School, where we met over like every session, like hundreds of kids. And our approach was not like renewable energy, because that's like a big term. We basically asking kids that they learn these things in science. They know like renewable resources. They know the sun, they know the wind, they know water. So we are not going and imposing things we learn as like engineers, just to we're like asking them and hear their response. That what is the source of renewable energy? What can you do to tap into wind energy? And they're like exciting, and we're doing some activity with them to remember, and also like to inspire them, because as energy for you, we're looking like at the big picture perspective, but you start with a single line of a pencil to draw it before you get in the full color. Okay. And that's why we approach children. Like, they may not be able to put it in practical use, but inspire them career-wise.
Catch them young.
Catch them young.
Yeah.
And
are you seeing any, how long has this been going on? The comic strips distribution, the testing, all of this?
The testing started in 2017.
Wow.
Yes, it's been quite a journey. So that testing was done, we had created glossy manuals, and we had a teacher who was teaching the children, but they were more excited about the hands-on projects than they were about the glossy manuals. And then we couldn't replicate the teacher because the teacher was very good. So that is how we said, what method can teach these children very effectively without need for a teacher? So we came up with a comic strip, and it's now 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you seeing in the last 3 years any impact? Are you able to measure it? How do you measure that they're actually taking this up and putting it into practice?
The measure, kind of this project, where to give it a short timeline, is hard because we cannot measure the amount of carbon we have reduced in the space, but we measure by the reaction. The reaction. For example, in Kidgum, where the office of DEO, Alfred, and was like willing like to do the distribution, so getting people at the district level appreciating this. No one has chased us away. Teachers get excited, kids get excited. That shows that, okay, these are like, can take baby step measuring that, is it appreciated? Okay. Is it like kids like it? Are they understanding it? And also like hearing the question. And now you got excited, you want to be our ambassador. If you want to get a script, JK is here. Contact her.
When you're giving them the comic strip and they read it, what kind of questions do they ask? Questions that make you then think about what you're actually trying to achieve.
They ask questions like, one of the questions the students asked were, they're not able to follow the panels at a certain point. And so we thought about giving numbers to the panels in the future. Then we also realized that some of the students are not fast readers, so they need to stay with the comic issues longer. And then they ask they really try to predict what will happen. Say, for example, to the grandmother is coughing and she's very sick because of the so much smoke from the firewood, and they're so concerned they want to help her. So it helps us think of ways in which we can keep them inquisitive, and also think of ways in which we can actually get this feedback and document it, which is why we have questions, feedback questions.
I guess in asking about the impact, what I was trying to look for was, do we go back home and ask their parents and say, okay, is there a change in this child's way of looking at life? In when you're using charcoal, does the child now question why we are cutting down trees? Have we done that kind of research?
Not yet. The project is still in its first phases.
Okay.
The pilot. We are starting mass distribution next month. So then we'll have a sort of structure where we receive this feedback and actually give prizes that are also to enforce our message.
The key characters, Adrico and Nampija, what informed the choice of names?
The choice of names, there was no particular...
Ugandan names.
We made sure, yes, they are Ugandan names.
Yeah.
We didn't say, okay, Adrico is from the east and Nampija is from the central. Let's choose only central and the east. No, it was just we wanted Ugandan names.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, the
Just
name
to make people,
Adrico is from West Isle. Nampija is from Central. So in that way, you can say that also can breaking down the tribal stereotype that the Ugandan girl, she's free to play football, having
wherever
school,
she's from,
wherever she, regardless of where we come from. So you realize that we are pushing a lot of lessons using one comic strip. But Uganda nowadays say, when you say a win, you say, hey, you're from the north. Okay.
How is this going? How are you getting the comic strip out?
The comic strip, we are getting in touch with, first of all, organizations that already have a network of schools they're working with, and we're asking them to distribute the comic at no price. This comic strip is non-for-profit. I think I forgot to mention that. It's non-for-profit. It does not infer costs on the schools, neither does it infer costs on the children. So we get in touch with schools. We have a list of schools in Kampala, in Kitgum, and many more that we'll get in touch with and ask them, are you willing to take on this and teach your children? I believe it's a great teaching tool.
So if a school wants to have these comic strips, how do they reach out? Who do they contact? Where do they go?
That's a very important question.
Yeah.
First, we are going to take advantage of your show, the perspective. When you want a comic script,
she offered
energy for you. JK is here. See JK.
Okay.
Or you can contact, you can come to Kadomam, plot for on Car Road. Contact us.
That's in Kololo.
In Kololo.
Yes, in Kololo.
You can contact Susan or Rossini. There's Brenda. I think even Total. That's not.
No. Total sponsored.
Oh, Total sponsored.
Those you sponsor for the
but
first
for easiest, you can come to Kadomam, and if you're in town, you're next to NTV, visit them and ask for JK.
Okay, I'm your free ambassador. If you're giving out this comic strip for free, how are you able to afford printing? You must be very rich young people.
Yeah. No, we are not. But we have some very kind and enthusiastic people who are enthusiastic about the work we're doing. Total sponsored our first 6 issues, which is very, very, it is very encouraging. Because when we started out, this comic strip was just a group of young minds that are willing to get out a message and educate Uganda at no cost. Yeah. But we also have, well, we work with digital print solutions that afforded us a very cheap printing rate of color at 300 per A3 size comic paper. So that has greatly reduced our prices. Okay. And then we also have to pay the artists. So the Total has covered all those expenses until issue 6. But right now we're looking for partnerships with, say, for example, we're in touch with Food and Agricultural Organization, with UNICEF, with M-Copper Solar, any organization that is willing to distribute and even fund their message to get out there. We can tailor. The stories are very, very dynamic.
All right. And again, you're giving this to schools for free.
For free.
You're not intending to
No.
make a profit
And we are
out of it.
using renewable energy. We don't exhaust it.
Okay. If you're okay, what would you like to see, because we're closing, what would you like to see come out of this? What would you like to see for the younger generation of Uganda? I'll start with you, Hakeem, as you close up, and Susan will wrap us up.
What I would like to see that people to think, because when it comes to energy, there's a basics in physics which say that every single action you're taking, it requires energy, whether being thinking, whether being going to the washroom or going anywhere. You need certain energy to take them that. And using that energy while considering that if you're able to use it tomorrow again, that will put us on the wheel to start understanding that how can we start saving our environment, whether it comes to industry, but it starts that environmental protection is right here in our heart. And our environment is a reflection of what we have here. And how we use that sustainably is what will determine the quality of our life in Uganda, in our community, and as a big picture, the whole globe. So we have to be conscious and see that and be conscious with our step, be responsible, and be careful with everything we do in as we're protecting our environment.
Consciousness. Same way we're very conscious right now about coronavirus, and we're being told wash your hands 20 seconds, you know, and do all of this, even without waiting for disaster to befall us. We should be taking active steps.
Yeah, we now kick legs, not shaking hands anymore.
Susan.
Well, I would like to see a Uganda that is very passionate about exploiting their renewable energy resource. I mean, we are very lucky. We receive the sun almost 365 days a year. So I want us to have an enthusiasm towards exploiting that resource. I also, like he said, want us to be very conscious of our environment. While you're moving on the streets and someone throws out a plastic bottle out the window and they're stepping on grass, they are cutting down trees for no reason. I mean, we need to be very, very cautious about our environment. It is here. It is supposed to be here to stay. It is not a guarantee that it will be here unless we give it the due respect and care.
The world is a big home, and the forests are the big lungs.
Yeah, sure.
So they need to be protected.
All right. Thank you so much, Hakeem. Thank you so much, Susan, for taking the time to speak with us. I must say I was blown away by this, and I'm glad to participate in any way that you need me to support your initiative, me as an individual. So once again, thank you so much. And well, a big thanks to Rossini, who introduced me to you guys. Must say that what you're doing is amazing. Well, that brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. And again, if you want a copy of the comic strips for yourself, for your children, and for your school, please reach out. You can write to us, or you can visit KK, which is on Car Road.
Car Road, Plot 4.
Plot 4. All right. Thank you so much for watching. That brings us to the end of our show for tonight. Coming up is NTV Weekend Edition.